Entitlement, whether psychological, whether social, or whether legal, from whichever way you choose to look at it, where you believe that it's yours and yours alone, you deserve it, no one else deserves it. Sometimes you look at where we are as a society. Someone gets away with the most atrocious things, and there's nothing that can be done to them. And because of that one reason, people get away with a lot. Someone believes they can be corrupt, never be held accountable, because either they have a relative or a friend or some network. Someone can come, destroy a marriage because they believe they have something that the other person can't offer, and you know what? They don't care. Someone will look at you, you have a child, and they snatch them from you. And they believe they're the ones who are better than you. It could be a nation where it believes it can plunder, destroy, wipe out, and create a narrative that the population which they are destroying are barbaric, have affiliations in extremism, and because no one questions them because of their level of power, they get away with it. They loot, they destroy, they impose sanctions, they impose crazy tax laws, and because they feel that no one can do anything to them, they continue. If it's from a family setup, a sibling believes because they can do whatever they want to their other sibling, whether it's a young or older sibling. They can say, do whatever because they have the right hand of the parents or relatives. And so someone is pushed and shoved to the ground. It could be an employee where they're feeling they have connections with the top management, whether it's out of other unethical ways that they're able to benefit. Whichever way you look at it, they get away with it. And no one can stop them because they believe whatever they want, they get. You see, pride is a very dangerous thing. It makes you feel untouched. It makes you feel so special. You can say, you can do, and you can act in any way that you want. In the life of social media, we come into a point whereby people can post things whereby their intention is unethical. For example, it is someone who's dying or drowning or going through a very tumultuous time. And so they take advantage of it and feel they can say whatever they want to say, do whatever they want to do, and no one will be able to hold them accountable. And the danger that comes with it is the victim is left traumatized, crushed, hurt, broken, and to recover from it is very hard. Names are tarnished, families torn apart, because someone feels they can get away with anything. You see, entitlement creates an illusion. But the one thing it does best is destroy relationships. There's no one who can be entitled and have a positive relationship because they are takers. They just take, or grabbers. They have no rule. They have no standing. They only have one intention. It is theirs. But what do we have from that? When individuals believe everything is theirs, are they not taking it from someone? Whether it's emotional, whether it's mental, whether it's psychological, whether it's physical, someone has to lose for someone to gain. It could be in a company, you're an employee, you're working your way slow by slow, step by step, ladder by ladder. Someone comes, does things or says things or acts in ways, harass, whichever way you look at it, abuse to the extreme, but they get away with it, either because they're related, whether because of a particular race or ethnic affiliation, and because you're the minority, you have no standing. You can look at scripture and look at Potiphar's wife and Joseph. Potiphar's wife lasted after Joseph, and she felt entitled to have Joseph to herself. And when Joseph fled, she had to look for something out of shame. And what did she say? That slave that you brought here. Nobody questioned whether the story was true. Everybody looked at it from the point of Joseph was a minority. So yes, she had to be right. But was she? Was she right? No. And so he had to be jailed for that long period of time until the grace of God that he became someone of a high ranking. Or what did it cost him? The lies? Is entitlement make people do the unthinkable? King David, he felt he's a king, despite having the wives, having a family. I'm sure his desires would be sorted by his wives. But no, he wanted what wasn't his. He felt, I'm a king, I can have it all. And so, Uriah, innocently, doing God's work, innocently, was a target, lost his life. And David had Bathsheba. Sad times we're living in. But it's there in scripture. King Ahab, Naboth's vineyard. This was a king. He had everything. But now, he wanted Naboth's vineyard because he couldn't get it. His wife, Queen Jezebel, was like, that's your problem? We'll figure it out. False witnesses took advantage of trying to twist the law. Naboth couldn't win. It's him against a king and a queen. He lost, got stoned, because the king and the queen felt entitled. You see, entitlement destroys lives. Entitlement destroys relationships. You can look at it from an angle whereby you have a sibling you're trying to help in life, as a family. And then they're always getting away with all the wrong things. And they're rebellious, they're vulgar, name it. They do all that. And every time you're trying to help, they do things because they're feeling there'll always be someone who's going to come through. But there's one mistake entitled people forget. There comes a time when people have enough. And so when people have enough, they don't need to play from your level of rage. Silence is a very good medication. 2 steps back, watch, walk away. Who loses? Who wins? Because the one you damaged wins in this situation. Yes, they have the scars. Yes, they have the sad memories. But now they know you. They're gone. When you feel entitled, you have no respect. When you feel entitled, you have no boundaries. When you feel entitled, you have no level of shame. You do whatever you want, however you want, in whichever situation you feel like. You will never care who you hurt. You will never care. We are living at a time whereby, let's look at the customer care or call centers, what they go through. So you call them up. Instead of being polite and expressing the issue or whatever product or service to which they're dealing with, you start insulting them, calling them names. If you get to know their gender, you try to insinuate things. And if they don't comply, you're all over the place. It could be a company. Yes, maybe they did an error with a product or a service. Instead of being humble enough and polite with your words, you start speaking or acting in ways you feel it's your right. You can do whatever you want. No one can tell you anything. And it becomes even worse. If you're an employee or you're an immigrant in another country, and there are laws that more or less support, that country, but on your end, you're limited. You can be accused of anything. Anything. Okay, for example, a lady can make a move on the guy refuses, and before the guy knows this, he has the craziest case, is locked up. Or a man wants a lady, and because he can't have her, creates up some crazy case. No one gets to know what's really going on. Someone is locked up or even lose their life, or even the worst. Because entitlement equals to damages. And the sad thing is, the people who are entitled, they don't want accountability. They hate accountability. They hate correction. And they want to live in the illusion that they are perfect, that they're right. But let's be honest, are you always right? For you to reach where you reach, wasn't there someone who played a key role? When you say, for example, I'm a self-millionaire, I'm a self-billionaire, I'm a self-this, let's be honest. Are you really self? Because if you didn't have employees working and doing their very best, you didn't have your product or service moving up. If you didn't have a clientele to buy your product or service, you didn't. So are you a self-billionaire, self-millionaire, or whatever self-proclaimed entitlement you feel? You're not. You being there in that industry is tagged to people being able to buy the product. Even the person you're telling yourself this or self that, they are like an audience. They're listening to you as you brag about it. With social media, someone can say, let's look at where we are. There's these sad trends whereby someone who's mentally ill, and I'm talking to the extreme of they're literally challenged, like it's beyond medication at this point in time. They're like mad, like they're crazy. And you see someone, I've seen several sad clips whereby you see someone hold someone and hit them to something, and then people are, they put it on a live, whether it's whichever social media platform, and then people are laughing and laughing, but this person is being wounded, or they're mentally challenged, or they have a mental issue, or they have I don't know how to put it, they're suffering from something, and someone takes advantage of it. It could be even they're in neurodiversity, neuro something, I'm forgetting the whole tag between autism, all of them, this neuro something, I'm forgetting the name. And so someone takes advantage. That's the life you live in. Bullying. What does bullying all entail? Entitlement. Either you feel you have the money, or you have the power, or you have the physique, and you have the crowd to cheer you on into doing whatever unethical thing that you're doing because you feel entitled. But what happens? The same person you bully and you hurt, years later, when now you really need to pick your pieces in life, you now meet the person you crushed. Put your head on the ground. And it depends on the grace, because that individual may decide, well, now that I have you in my corner, I'll do whatever I want to do with you. You see, the problem with the entitlement, you damage relationships. But mostly, you create many enemies. And you see, your enemies are not the ones you see. Your enemy is not the one who will come to you and tell you, oh, you're my enemy. The enemy is the one who will tell you, oh, we're good. I like your style. I like your approach. Let's laugh. But all along, they are planning and scheming. And when they are very sure that all their doors connect, they will deal with you. And you know what? No one will listen to your story. You know why? Because you damaged so many people. How many politicians, whether they get locked up, whether they die or got shot at, or whatever happens to them, how many people really go back and say, oh, he was no, some people like, whew, disaster is gone. Is that really who you want to be in life, where everybody looks at you and they're like, how fast can you disappear? Because when you're entitled, when you come into a crowd, people just want you to go. You get into a room, everybody's gone. And if they're in that room, they're like, how fast can this thing die? So entitlement only gives you more enemies. You're a country. You believe you're a superior race. And all you do is go, choose a country, and you say, fine, I want minerals from this country. Since we can't get it the diplomatic way, because diplomatically we'll be tax this, tax that, and all other laws and bylaws we need to apply, we can create a situation and claim that these are barbaric, or they are funding an extremist group, or something. And because people don't have much information, and then you create a propaganda, have the mainstream backing you up, and then you have your key to go and wipe out a nation. Only the soldiers later on come and do their own math and realize, what were we really doing in this country? Because honestly, these people are not who the world think they are. They were innocent people. But by that time, there's no house. Children have no father, no mother. Parents don't have their children. Women have been done all painful things, sexually, mentally, psychologically. Why? Because sadly, even in this, what do they say? that they use unconsented intercourse against anyone because that's power. You destroy another person, then you go back to your native country and your wife and your children are happy and saying, how was work? And say it was good. Good for what? You took someone's family. You slaughtered. Or you sat in that board and gave the key and say, blow that place to the ground. Entitlement makes you look at another person as an object. You're addicted to pornography. Now you don't look at your opposite sex in the same way. You're looking at them as an object. So when you're with them, you're anticipating they act under the illusion of what you fed your brain, your depravity. So your depravity is what you want someone to accept and to acknowledge. You don't want to come to reality and accept that the things that you're doing are wrong, but you want to be given the go-ahead to keep doing wrong. And if you can't get it right, no one can support you, you're crazy all over the place. Entitlement. Destroying lives. Demand and supply. Because you can't get the legal way of getting, if you have a health issue, you're told you need a heart transfer or kidney transfer, like, why bother? Dark web. I can make some calls here and there, or I don't know, whatever transaction. And then someone from another, within that country or another country, an organ is removed. You think they'll even know? No, they could be invited to an event, boom, wake up, body, wake up, they have stitches, or the worst, they're taken out completely. And organs are transferred from one nation to another nation or within, but someone lost, not even knowing what's going on. Entitlement. Entitlement feels you can step over anyone. Entitlement makes you feel like you have, no one can tell you anything. You are who you decide to be. You can wake up and wipe out. But people keep forgetting there's always a time for payback. You see, when King Saul was busy hunting down King David and slaughtering the Gibeonites, then he died later on under the Philistines. What happened? His bloodline paid for it, all seven. Their heads appeared on a pole. When King David realized that there was no rain, and when he asked God, the Gibeonites said, hey, King Saul did this, so we want this too. You see, whatever you do has. You can come in a particular timeline and wipe out a nation. What you don't understand is you build enough enemies. And what? Decades later, the child that was 5 years, 4 years, who witnessed their parents go, keep the memory. They'll come into institution. They will learn. And one day comes, they will retaliate. But that time, you're old. Even if you're not old, you may have a health issue or whatever, but you can't fight back. You're a politician. You go, you lie, you buy the churches, because not all churches are, but yeah, the majority are corrupt, because let's be honest, the reason politicians sit in power is they can buy a religious institution. Now that doesn't mean the whole, but they have specific people. If they can buy, they sway everything. And so what do? They go, they steal, they loot, and when the youth rise up, or other opposition rise up, they disappear. They are taken out. The worst, kidnapped, tortured, and more extremist, nefarious things done to them and their families. And they end up opening up a Pandora's box, and the revolution begins. And them who once sat in power and could order the execution of people, they're now the ones on target. They could loot everyone. Now everything they have is being looted back, it's been taken back. There will always be a time when the curtains are drawn and the truth will come out, even if it's many years later. So when you feel you're better than someone else, when you feel you can take something from someone without their consent, when you feel you can smear anyone with insults and lies, don't worry. Your cup is being prepared. And that time will come when that cup will pour. It's just a matter of time. So treat everyone with respect. Treat everyone the way you want to be treated. Don't feel you are a better race or a better ethnic or a better this or a better that. Be humble. We're in a new time and a new era where I don't need to see the person on the other side of a phone or an accessory, but they can be able to validate if what I'm saying or I can validate if what they're saying is true, and just like that we network. This is the world we live in, where I don't need to know you to help you, and here we are, a 1%, whether it's an elite, whatever they call themselves, who decides who eats, who dies, who grows. But the fact is, everything you plant, you will reap. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. So treat everyone with respect. If you ever feel that you're better than the next person, if you ever feel you can get away with something, yeah, entitlement is knocking at the door. And just remember, you may do this to someone when they are young, when they're in a situation they can't fight back. But one thing you should never forget, never underestimate the tears of a person, whether externally seen or internal. Never underestimate the blood shed by an innocent person, because when it cries, God listens. And when that time comes, it will not be a time when you're strong enough. You'll be weak. So every chance and every opportunity God has granted you, wherever it may be, whether in a career, whether in the political arena, whether in a faith institution, whether at work, wherever it may be, whether it's in your marriage, whether it's in whatever it is, build relationships, build networks. Don't step in people's, have boundaries, and don't step into people's boundaries. Get consent over everything. Never feel you're too big. Never feel you're too smart. We are all replaceable. In fact, our replacement is always around the corner. Yeah. Even when you die, that spouse you love, the replacement is around the corner. That person you break their heart, their replacement is around the corner. Who is going to replace you? So whatever you do, just know you will get what you're looking for, and a higher magnitude than what you did to someone else. So treat everyone with respect. Treat everyone the way you would want to be treated. Know your boundaries. Ask yourself, when you start feeling like you're better than that other person, are you not feeling entitled? And don't take advantage of someone else's race or ethnic or whatever it may be so that you can step over them, because you know when you speak, everyone will believe you. Yeah. A time comes when those tears, that sweat, that blood, that pain someone was afflicted, it pays back. It's just a matter of time. So, and if you witness someone is feeling entitled, step up, tell them as it is. If it's expose, but don't sugarcoat your words. And if that's your friend, you might need to cut your ties. So don't let someone else fall so that you can look good with others. The Benjamins did not deal with the issue of the men who went and did the heinous acts to the concubine of the priest. What led eventually? A war where they were almost wiped out. So remember, if you know someone who's entitled and they're within your space and you don't deal with it and you're always defending them, don't worry. A time will come when the wrath and the cup has overflowed and you will be added to them when that time comes. So when you can stop something, you better stop and be isolated. They've been coupled together and face the wrath. Facts.